Please help her. She's very lonely. The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess has to be my most favourite game in the series. I loved how you could transform into a wolf and see things you couldn't see as a human. And I love how the mood of the game really makes it feel like a depressing storyline. The game reminded me of Soul Eater, and that's good enough for me. Now, I started playing the game in 2011. I was old enough to start using my sister's GameCube, and I played with it all the time. Of course, my top priority was to beat Twilight Princess, and see Midna turn into a badass looking Twilight Princess thingy. But at some point, I was stuck on the Temple of Time for a really long time, and I had a little rage quit, so I put the game down for a while. Shortly afterwards, I started getting into other games such as Persona 4 Golden and Tekken Tag Tournament. It was about 2 years since I played Twilight Princess, which is as long as I've had my Nintendo Wii I got on Christmas. Now don't get me wrong, I still play Zelda games, but I was sort of avoiding Twilight Princess, since I really wasn't into the game as much as I was then, seeing as though my social life had gotten bigger and I was doing more productive things aside from playing video games. But I decided to start playing it again soon. I had gotten my Nintendo Wii booted up with the game and got my controller and memory card from my room. There was a quick white flash on the title screen, but I figured it was just a small error since I hadn't touched the game in a while. I pressed the start button on my controller and was brought to the file select. Nothing out of the ordinary. Except, what? That couldn't be right. My first file I was working on was supposed to have all the fused shadows and a few pieces of the mirror twilight. Instead, I only had 2 pieces of the fused shadows, no mirror of twilight, and I only had 3 hearts. The only tunic I had was the hero's tunic, and I had the Orden shield and the sword as part of my equipment. What was going on? I'd worked so hard to get to where I was, and I was almost done with the Temple of Time. I had the Master Sword. I had all the fused shadows, and I definitely wasn't stupid enough not to collect any pieces of heart on the way. I was shocked to see all of this. This couldn't be right. Something must have happened. I selected this file and was brought to Hyrule Field in the nighttime. I was as Wolflink and Midna was on his back. I realized that this part of the game was where you would have to bring Midna to Zelda in Hyrule Castle after she gets blasted by so much light thanks to Zant that she's too weak to even stand up. Midna's lament was playing in the background, as usual, but something was off. There was nothing in the area. Hyrule Castle couldn't be seen from above. There were no trees, enemies, or anything of the matter. All that was there was the grass of what seemed to be a never-ending plain. I pressed the Z button on my controller to speak to Midna. No text box appeared, but the camera did zoom to Midna's face. She had a very depressed look on her face, and her fused shadow piece was a bit cracked. Her voice was heard, her actual voice I mean, and she spoke in non-gibberish words. Link, where were you all this time? You were gone for so long. We've lost everything. I was so sad. And Zelda? Midna then closed her eyes, but then opened them and looked straight at me. She spoke again, saying, "You're such a jerk. You let Ganon take control of both our worlds, and left me and Zelda here helpless. We were so close to saving everything. Are you happy with yourself?" Wolf Link didn't do anything. He just stood there with no expression at all. Soon, the camera zoomed out of range of Midna. She was breathing heavily like usual. All that was in my mind was, what the hell? I wasn't sure how to feel about this. I wasn't sure what was going on at all, to be exact. Could she really be referring to my absence for the last 2 years? I started making Wolflink run, God knows where. I wasn't very sure why I was doing this, seeing as though there weren't any places to go. Wolflink kept running, but suddenly stopped after a few minutes. A blackish looking cloud was slowly engulfing everything. Wolflink ran away without my control very quickly. A text box then appeared with green font color saying, "Don't worry, Midna. I'll protect you." Wolf Link was desperately trying to get away from this void, but to no avail, and he was soon sucked inside, and his howl could be heard from a distance. Wait a minute. Did Link just talk too? I was brought to the Twilight Realm after a very long black screen break had appeared. I was now as human Link, with the hero's tunic and the Orden's sword in hand. My shield was gone for some reason. I decided to check the items menu to see what I had, and all I really did have was the slingshot, some water bombs, and the fishing rod. I also had half a bottle of milk. I went into the equipment menu next. Link's figure was not present in the little box where he normally would be, and my equipment from the file select before I started was all there. The only thing missing was my shield. I went back to the actual game and noticed that the option to speak with Midna was missing. The Twilight Realm's theme was playing in reverse, and it was a little unnerving. The Twilight Realm looked fine to me. Nothing was out of the ordinary, and it still looked like the creepy, depressing mini-temple it always was. I moved Link around and decided to check out some of the citizens that were left. I had the option of speaking to them, so I decided to talk with them. A text box then appeared saying, "They are inside." I ran towards one of the entrances of the palace and was immediately brought to Xant's boss chamber. Midna was on the ground in the middle of the area, still in her weakened state, and Xant and Ganondorf were near the throne. They both had smirks on their faces, and Midna had a really panicked look as she was breathing heavily. A text box with blue font color appeared saying, "Help me, Link," and Midna reached out her hand. Link ran towards her without my control yet again, and the screen cut to black. A loud boom could be heard, and Midna and Link screamed. I was brought to the title screen again, and it looked the same as it was supposed to. I was shocked. Too shocked at this point to even think clearly. But something told me to look just one last time. I clicked the start button and was brought to the file select. The file music wasn't playing anymore though. It was Midna's lament. I chose my file and a text box appeared with the blue font color. "You did this to us. We could have saved our worlds. But you just couldn't have some patience now, could you? You disgust me. Are you proud of what you've done?" Thanks for sticking around to the end. And if you enjoyed today's story, make sure to leave a like. And if you want more like it, make sure to subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss a story. If you need more now, why not check out my Gamepasta playlist? I'll leave that on this card, and I'll catch you in the next story.